Milwaukee's MX Fuel equipment system revolutionizes the light equipment market by delivering the performance and durability demanded by the trades. From the MX Fuel cut-off saw and MX Fuel sower machine to the MX Fuel power supply and the MX Fuel tower light, MX Fuel has you covered without the hazards associated with emissions, noise, vibration, and the frustrations of petrol maintenance. MX Fuel, equipment system, equipment redefined. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at RIXX. RIXX is an Australian lifestyle brand founded with a mission to transform the eyewear industry by creating carefully crafted eyewear that inspires confidence. Everybody should be able to enjoy a touch of luxury and the confidence it brings. See the world differently today. Head online now at rixeyewear.com.au and check it out. Righto, let's get into the show. Welcome to the podcast, Mickey.
Oh, mate. How we going? It's good. It's good. It smells like a barbershop in here.
It is. That's funny because Braden just re-glued a few things and I couldn't smell it when I walked in. Hey, how do I look in my brand new Milwaukee jacket? This is the first time I've put it on.
The dynamics of it. How does it work?
It's a heated jacket.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine the boys at Werribee, when you're coaching Tuesday, Thursdays coming up in winter, you're rocking this. It's got a heater inside it, so there's an attachment here. You'll get one of these later, Mick, when we talk about your handiest moment, which would have been a few. When there's always talking about how you had 33.
You and I aren't really kind of the blue collar operators in terms of tools. Got a door that needs fixing at the moment. Anyway, so anyone that can
fix the door, but I can fix your body temperature. So this is a battery. You plug it straight in, right?
Smack.
That goes in your pocket, so that'll be on. I'm not going to do it now because I don't need it. I'm already warm. And then business as usual. This button here, you whack it, so you click it once, twice, 3 times, and it'll light up depending on how hot you want it.
Nice.
And mate, you turn into a Georgie Foreman, mate. You turn into
it's like a jaffle maker.
Jaffle maker right here.
Baked beans in your bread. And,
Tommy the Georgie Foreman.
Away you go. No, looking dapper.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to giving you one of these later. Mate, thanks for coming on the podcast. Last time we did one, I reflected. We just talked NFL, and I think I had a bit of heat online. What are you doing? Wasting Mickey Barlow's time talking NFL. Well,
and where'd I come in fantasy this year?
Yeah, down the bottom end. Yeah. But, you've always provided a lot, and you're a loyal Jackson Jaguars man.
You don't even know how to say their name.
What did I say?
Jackson Jaguars.
Jacksonville, sorry. I was trying to get out Jaguars, and I said Jackson. I know that Trevor Lawrence is the star coming up. You've been a big fan of them for a while. They've been the laughing stock. How's me not saying Jacksonville, by the way? I'm a big fan. The Jacksonville Jaguars, no one's a Jacksonville Jaguar fan besides you. Nah. Maybe a few now because of Trevor Lawrence. But we'll start on that. How did you come about that? How come you supported the Jags?
I jumped on. When did I jump on? I jumped on kind of 2016, when
Bortles?
Yeah, Blake Bortles was floating around, and by floating I mean he was throwing his floaters, by floaters through the air. But we used to play fantasy, and I never really had a team, and I thought, right, who's bad? I didn't want to be one of these guys, Patriots, or jumping on the absolute primetime Green Bay. I'll barrack for Green Bay, and I'll barrack for the Patriots.
Chiefs.
Yeah, well, now it's kind of the Chiefs. And so I was very much like, all right, who's at the bottom? Who's got a top draft pick? So, and Bortles was a top draft pick at that time. We laughed, but he was top. He took him to a championship game. He went within a touchdown of beating the Patriots to go to the Super Bowl. But then went down. That was all off the back of defense. I think that was 2017. And then I've just stuck fat. Now we've got Trev. Seems like we're building a bit of momentum. There's a fair bit of confidence about what they can do next season. But I think it's a tough one because if we refer it to the AFL side of things, we follow Fremantle closely. I think there's some parallels there. You have a good year and probably when people aren't expecting. And then you might just dip a little bit as the Dockers had for the start of the year a little bit this year. So I'm a little bit cautious in the optimism on the Jags next season.
I'm optimistic. It's generally a bit different NFL when you got a young gun quarterback not getting paid yet, so he'll get paid soon. So you got a bit of you can pay everyone else around him. So that's what you need. If you look at all the players that have come through, the young Aaron Rodgers and all these players that are young that perform, they can build some assets around them. And I think the Jags might have an opportunity.
And I've got I love keeping little stories, little snippets of papers and
you do love cutting them out.
So
you're like me old man.
I don't cut them out. But, now it's on the laptop, and I've got a folder, and I reckon a few of my players have seen it when I share the screen and do do presentations about, game plan and all that stuff. And there's a folder up there, just Trevor Lawrence. I'm just grabbing some documents on him and some stories. And there's that game where he was down 27 zip
against
at
the Chargers.
halftime against the Chargers.
Unbelievable.
Some of the clippings that came out of that about mentality and how he owned the 4. So he had the 4 turnovers in the first half, and he goes in and he gets told, like all his teammates just rallied around him. He goes, mate, that's all right. You 4 turnovers, 4 touchdowns this hard. And his confidence was just through the roof. So some of those articles are pretty special that I'm just holding on just for the right time.
That's good though. Just on that article, was it the teammates that actually got him up, not just him on his own? They were like,
teammates.
And he was
so
like, I like
the culture and the leadership of the group around him were very much just. I think Trevor probably has that. Speaking as if I know him, Trevor Lawrence, quarterback, QB1. Probably has that conviction in his own performance that he's like, right, I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. But to have that added support around him would have helped, no doubt.
When I say Trevor, what's another Trevor that comes to mind? Because I got one right now. It's funny.
Trevor Gleason was the basketball coach, Perth Wildcats.
I'm thinking of Trevor Marmalade. Trevor Marmalade.
Behind the bar, Trev.
Yeah, the comedian. When you said Trevor, I don't know, I just thought of that funny bastard on the footy show.
And funny. That is uselessly, I reckon. He found his niche there.
I actually ran into him at JB Hi-Fi about a month ago. I'm not joking you. I had to get a cord, HDMI cord. Working? No, he was just in the shop, and I looked and I'm like, who is that? It took me about 3 minutes. He was behind me, and it's Trevor Marmalade.
I reckon I've seen him in Port Melbourne when I used to live in Port Melbourne. Just
he was ahead of his time, though. He would have done all right, wouldn't he?
Yeah, make bank and then retire in the sunset.
Mickey, thanks for joining us. We take the piss. We live together. We know each other very well, but your story's quite cool, and I think it's been told, but probably not in a relaxed format, not with me anyway. And the Aces would really enjoy when we tap into it, because I know a few things they don't, and people probably haven't heard. But what you must be very proud of is you're a trailblazer for the mature age. You were the first, it's fair to say, and the most successful straight off the top.
There was a number beforehand, absolutely. But I think myself and James Pods Adley came in, and Pods was I played with Pods at Werribee, and he went to the Cats. He was 29. So he was 29 and played for 5 years, I reckon, Geelong and Adelaide.
How old were you?
22. Yeah. I'm 21, just turned 22. I think it became a little bit more, and we're seeing it now, like mid-season drafts and players coming in recently at the mature ages that are kind of making impact, which is, pretty cool. But I think you come in at that level knowing, like, you feel like it's like the old 10-day contract, the NBA or whatever they do. It's like on a lot less money than that. But the 10-day, you've got Lee Spur, a good friend of ours, former Fremantle mature age draftee as well. Always joke that we came over with, like, the stick over your shoulder and the little handkerchief full of stuff, and that's all you brought over because you didn't know how long you were going to last. But it turned out okay. 7 years Dockers, 2 years of Suns.
Don't sit here. Don't sit here like I'm on channel whatever news. All right, don't dare sit here. You come in and you're leading the Brownlow round 10, right? And we'll talk about what happens second. But everyone in the room was, this is extraordinary. You don't just come in and play a role. You come in and you're coming second in the Brownlow after whatever 10 rounds it was. Before we get to this big turning point, the injury. Sickening, by the way, but like a lot to come from it, and you learn a lot about it. But if you just, before I even talk about how you got to Freo, when you're at Freo, what was your expectations? You're like, I got nothing to lose. I'm going to go out there and play the same footy as I played at Shep and Werribee.
I reckon that the more times you get kind of knocked back, right? And I'll probably see this. There's some case studies in it around the talent pathways, where a lot of these talent pathways, everything's given. And, you're under 16, you play for West Australia or Vic Country or Vic Metro, and you're given this, and, you're pretty much the whole way through, it's planted out how it's going to work, and that you're going to get there, and then you're going to be like, you're going to be like Scott Pendlebury. So there's kind of that pathway that these younger players follow, which largely is unrealistic, isn't it? Because we know from all of that, how many draft picks are there? Once you get in, what's the career longevity? Not much. So, speaking to you, am I? You just smirked. But you've lived that side of things where you follow the path and you're not really used to, and it's probably a question to you, how used to adversity or how much you have to tap into not to say you don't, but tap into resilience and the ability to kind of fight setbacks along that journey. So by the time I jumped into the AFL, I'd kind of been heartbroken a lot of times, like with those rookie drafts and knowing kind of how hard it is to give yourself a chance, like opening yourself up to the possibility of devastation. Like I remember Mum said to me once, when I didn't get drafted in 2009, end of 09, I ended up getting rookied 3 weeks later. But I thought I was putting on a pretty brave face, but I was gutted and devastated and heartbroken. And I think your mum knows, right, when you're kind of not going that well. And she goes, I don't know if you should kind of throw yourself out there anymore. Like, you sure you want to do it? And from that, when she said it, like that conviction in me was still, I'm going to still chase it.
Yeah.
And I think they wear the adversity and the knockbacks to your parents much more than probably you do, even though you're riding the wave quite significantly. So, I remember when I got there, like when the draft pick popped up, I was pick 8, rookie draft. I just felt like a weight come off the shoulders, and kind of the self-belief and self-confidence was like, well, I've got to the starting line and I know I have some tools to be able to do it, and I'm just going to give myself every chance to succeed. So from there, I do say once I started playing that first year, it's as, not to say this arrogantly, but it was as easy a year of football as I've played, because I think they do a really good job at AFL level. Your first year players, don't put too much burden on them. Let them play. Let's not knock them too much for team defense or skill errors or whatever it is. And you are surrounded by better players. So I found that first half a season kind of as, you're riding the wave. You're feeling pretty good about it. You're a full-time athlete, so you're naturally improving. And there's probably not the burden of expectation on you that you put on yourself, and probably becomes expected of you the longer you're in the system.
Being a country boy and doing it so tough, going there, as you said, just get to the starting line, playing free footy and dominating, right? Breaking records. You've still got records now. Sheasel just broke it. We're a bit flat, aren't we? Bloody
Kickings, mate. Run down the
square. You nearly had it, though. He had that game where he had a 15 and we're like, Mick, you're still alive. And then he's come out of the 30.
Third quarter, he's
the ball, no disrespect, but the ball's living down there. So he's got the ball. Mickey, you were earning yours, weren't you? No disrespect, but that record was there for a long time, and obviously Sheasel will go on and be a superstar, so it's going to get beaten by someone to be a young gun like him. But the things you're doing are extraordinary, right? Obviously the numbers and the impact straight off the top. Do you remember fondly, just because Perth, we know, is a small town and they love their footy.
It's a small town over there.
Well, it's a smaller town. It's a 2-town. What I'm trying to say is I gotcha. There's not 10 teams there. There's 2. So
they're patriotic over there.
Yeah, as I'm saying, they love their footy. That's what I'm saying. They're 2-team town is probably what I went to say. And you're coming out of the blocks, like Usain Bolt, flying. So you're walking. Are you getting a little few head wobbles down the street? Like, as a country boy, you mustn't have been it must have been all new to you, all the press and all the love and all the external noise. Were you just living it up, Mick?
It was new. Getting a little bit of, I suppose, recognition for what you're doing. But it's over there. You can see I loved it over there, and still, and you did as well. Like the lifestyle and the connection you have. Fremantle's interesting, isn't it? It's like whilst they're footy mad. We used to train in Freo and go down the street for lunch and all that. But I think they became, because it's quite a small and unique little town. The people within that kind of community were used to seeing Pav and Sandilands and Sheridan and De Boer and Silvani, but used to seeing the boys.
I kept the economy afloat, mate. I was having coffees 5 times a day.
A big shout out to Tutti Frutti, who gave us free frozen yogurt.
Sean Early used to have that for dinner when he'd run out of cash.
For the week. The perks were there though, weren't they? And to be honest, like as good as that is, you do need a level of maturity, I think, to probably be able to not get too far ahead of yourself. And whether I had that for the whole longevity of my career, maybe not. I know guys like Dave Mundy, who there's no accident those guys go on and have the careers they do, because they're just so kind of regimented in how how they live. They don't never get too high on themselves, and they never get too low on themselves.
The flat line.
So yeah, they live on the flat line, and sometimes I think, yeah, from my point of view, I potentially probably rode the wave a little bit, and
Mine was a yo-yo.
up down,
Kick 2 and have 20, Mick. We're going out.
like unbelievable. Like we love that, like, and we can say it now. Like we used to play, and like a part of it is that the release of playing a game and having that ability probably once every 2 or 3 weeks to go out and have a beer and enjoy, like connect with your teammates and have a bit of fun. And it's probably not how it's drawn up, how you should be a professional athlete sometimes. Like you get home a bit later and enjoying yourself a bit. But we were very good at, the next day you'd get up, do your recovery, and you'd get yourself right for what was next. So some good perks down there on the main strip of Fremantle, South Terrace.
It's a great place. And we could sit here all day and talk about that, but we'll do that another time because it's all about you. You. As I said, you're leading the Brownlow at that point, or coming second. So it's a phenomenal start. But the incident, it was heartbreaking. It was big press, like it was huge. I still remember as a kid, you were you're just this bloke out of nowhere. It was a big story, and then snap. The broken leg and I know you very well. I know how mentally tough you are. I know how you're like, get on with it, whatever, mate. You taught me through it. Because I've only seen an incident twice because I don't like to watch that stuff, and I don't think you would either. But you're trying to stand up on your leg and it's in half, right?
Yeah.
It taught me through. Can you remember the moment?
Yeah, I'll tell it a little bit. Like it's quite surreal. I don't reckon I'd smelt the roses of how I was going the whole time. You just flow, and the team was playing really well. I think we were fourth. So I just kind of walked into an AFL system that I was playing well. The team was top 4, and it was a bit like finally, and we were beaten Port Adelaide pretty easily this day. I genuinely, like minutes before, recall myself kind of smelling the rose and saying, "How good's this? Like we're top 4. I'm playing well. My family was over that weekend." It's like, I get to go for dinner tonight, a bit like what we spoke about then. It's like 12 months earlier, I was a uni student that, maybe once ever, well, only if the parents were down, you could go out for dinner and enjoy and kind of, be a bit lavish. But I was like, had that moment. I was like, oh, how good is this? Like, and sharing it with your family and your friends and doing exactly what you love. And went back and, like, bang, snap, broke the leg. And pretty quickly it leveled me out. I knew I'd done it. Like I knew something had happened, but I was living pretty quickly in denial when I kind of shaked the leg and jumped up. It was all like, nah, it can't be true. It's a bit like, nah, it can't be true. Get up and it'll be fine. And pretty quickly, identified that it wasn't okay.
Mate, it's scary because like I don't want that to happen to me ever. I don't want anyone to go through that, and anyone that does is so tough. But like, what was the pain like?
No pain, because shock turns into green whistle. Green whistle turns into emotion. I remember like green whistle turned into like my brothers came in. I felt like I'd let them down, and I was thinking about the dinner reservation. Took me on a bit of a journey. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry. And they were just there like laughing really because they would have been devastated, but at the same time they were like, well, let's not get too carried away about this whole situation. But yeah, from there it was a tough. I think the resilience piece, I had to really tap into it the next because it wasn't. I'd heard all these stories about broken legs. You become part of a broken leg club. Gary Lyon rings you, Michael Voss rings you, Nathan Brown rings you, and they all tell you their stories about broken legs. And I think Voss and Lyon were like, mate, we were, and
so they called you just for the record.
Yeah,
this is no polish. This is genuine.
No, they ring and they say, I was kind of a 3 to 6 months kind of back out, haven't had issues since. Nathan Brown was the one that was like, I had significant issues post. So the glass half full train.
Yeah.
Am I thinking I'm Nathan Brown? Or am I thinking I'm Vossi and Gary Lyon?
3 to 6 months. Vossi and Lyon.
So I'm thinking, wrapping my head around the 3 to 6 months. All the while, Nathan Brown's situation was bubbling away, and mine did become kind of a bit more complicated than the 3 to 6 month return. I got back in 12 months, but I vividly recall from 12 months to 24 months, every step I took, I had pain, like even getting out of bed, walking. But my pain kind of walking wasn't too much worse than running. And I watched some of the vision of when I came back and played. I was running with a wooden leg. And there were some moments there where I was like, I think this actually could be it. Like it's a bit stiff, but I might not be able to, if I have to play like this, pain and at the level, because I wasn't playing that well, might be all over. And then I always remember the game. It was 2012. We were playing Richmond. Did you play that one? 2012, Richmond in the wet.
Is that the G? No, I was sick.
And,
that was a funny story about that. I'll tell you that one in a second.
So 2012 at the G, and all of a sudden that day ran out and played, and it was gone. Like the pain was gone. And it was one of the greater wins we'd had. I think Sandilands did his toe.
Dorse did his
knee.
Played in the ruck with it.
Yeah, and
PCL,
he had an infection.
PCL infection.
10 weeks.
H.E. Crosby on the boundary line, a couple of snaps. Johnny Griffin, a few dribble goals.
Still
Griffin. Remember it, yeah.
Like one of those wins where, the Dockers can't win this. Away from home. That was the turning point in the Dockers. Jumping around a bit, but the Dockers going from kind of a good side at home and just an easy beat away to this is kind of fair dinkum and what we can do away from home.
That's the first game you felt normal, though.
Played the whole game, felt good. And then I remember the next day I was like, I'm going to wake up next day, it's going to be shit. Wake up, it was good. And I actually could do the acid flush on Monday, the jog.
Yeah, used to do them.
Never could do it. Never had to always do the swim.
You was on the bike.
Always on the bike or the what bike or with Maney. But then I ran on the Monday and I was like, I'm back. Like I still get some pain to this day, but from there it was fixed.
You've skipped over a lot of the recovery though, right? Yeah. Well, when you say it was complicated, like I remember I got drafted, I think it was 11, so that's the year. And then obviously 12 was the first year. But I'll never forget watching you in rehab and you're getting your shins massaged and it was where you broke your leg. And I'm going, and Mickey, and you're like, you're screaming and I'm going, what the fuck is that? Like, I've got no idea what physios do, but I remember massaging your leg. We're in pre-season and you still played. I think you played round one and you dominated. And but like
sub.
But there was a lot of I remember you in training, out of training. What was it that was complicated with your break and your leg?
Yeah, not 100% sure. I think
shins, splints, all that stuff.
Shin, compartment syndrome. So compartment syndrome is where your muscle doesn't fully release. I think. So to this day, my left. So when I broke my leg, you get told the stories. Your leg will turn into that. Like your leg. Your quad will be like that, and your calves, you'll have no muscle definition because you won't use it. My quad was like that, but my shin, it's quite, my shin kind of actually expanded because it's swelling and never kind of fully released. So I had to get them slit, the muscles to release some.
Jesus.
I don't think that really worked, but I think my main issues were around strength, like strengthening up your arse muscles and your quads and your hammies. I never really got them back to that level, probably before. Hindsight's great, but I reckon in hindsight I wouldn't have run or returned to run. I thought as soon as you could run, fingers would build up and you'd play. But I'd probably neglected, not through lack of effort or method. I probably needed more time strengthening and probably another month or so strengthening all those muscles to make sure that return was a bit more seamless.
So that cast my mind to this broken leg club. Are you giving guys a call now and feeding that in? Have you given someone a call?
In the past I have, yeah.
Who'd you call?
Yeah, good question. I reckon pretty straight. I think Jake Stringer broke his leg, I reckon like a year or so after me, but he was in the under-18s.
Mm-hmm.
He's going all right.
The package, yeah, isn't he?
Yeah, like I remember, you remember a guy called Tim Broomhead?
Yeah, Collingwood?
Big snapped his leg on a goalpost at Collingwood. Now funnily enough, coaches North Albury. And we have to, we have players go to their local club. We have a couple of North Albury players. So I have to connect with Tim Broomhead to see how they go and whatnot. But he broke his leg and Gary Rowan broke his leg through the slide situation. So I kind of connected with him. That's probably a while ago now, but I remember it's pretty cool, like Nathan Brown and Voss. And I was
going to say, that's pretty cool. It's awesome that we can shout them out, that they've called you. Yeah. That would have gave you a little bit of, it's good hearing their stories. You got the 3 to 6 and you got maybe the glass half empty over the other side with Brown Dog.
But remember Brownies was like, it was like,
Brownies was
he
bad.
describes
yeah,
it
I
as.
I remember his because I remember watching his. It was just, bad.
Yeah.
Bad. Probably like yours. We'll move on because it's another topic, but I've never asked you. I've never really sat down and asked you. That's what I love about the potty. You get deep on a couple of topics.
Deep, yeah.
But you just made me laugh there talking about Maney. It's funny, Maney. Maney listens. I know he listens. So, but like, people don't understand Maney like we do. We've seen Maney at Full Flight, and then we've seen him, nothing against vegans, nothing against people that don't drink, nothing against school teachers, but you can get where I'm going with it. We've seen him at Full Flight, dancing, buying everyone a shot at the bar, carrying on, best on.
What was his espresso martini? Like, he would go out some nights and then spend 1,500.
He tells some funny stories, and I will get him on, and I'll hopefully get him out of him.
No, he won't tell
I don't know if he will. I've got to tell him for him. But I just remember going to his wedding, and the boys from the Pies, just no way that's Chris Massey. Mate, I'm telling you. Yeah. He used to look after the young boys. We'd be playing cricket. We'd be going out. He'd be shouting us all with no money, and he's at the, Full Flight in his career. But you made me laugh there thinking about Freo. Let's talk about Freo days. What are the fond memories? What are the things that you loved? Probably not even footy related, just the things that you go, oh, geez, they were good times.
No, pretty special. Like living, I was when I got there, like you make very significant friends, don't you? And because a lot of us have to relocate to Perth, you live out of each other's pocket. I'm not sure. Having done Freo and Gold Coast, I've seen that side. And you would have done Freo and Giants. See that side where your genuine connections are those guys at the footy club, and you haven't got your family, you haven't got your staunch, day oneers that you grew up with and went to school with and whatnot. So you have to live out of each other's pocket. And I just remember living with Nick Lower, my second and third year. A funny moment to start. He's now in my bridal party when I get married, but the first day he's rocked up and we had a sparring session, and he's gone. It's his first day, so no one's really going with Nick Lower, so you have to grab a partner. I was like, I'll go with a new bloke when I come over here, mate. And he's like, yep, go grab your sparring, and he's just bopping around, and you just had to warm up, just spar, just tap each other's gloves and get each other's shots. Right, now work into it, some body shots, and he just starts banging me full blown. Belting the living Jesus out of me. And then we started headshots. He's really broken my nose, which is a fair target. But I've got blood going out my nose. And at the end, I've got tissue, gauze up my nose, going home. Thinking he rings me, he's like, let's go out for dinner. And he sat me down. It's like he had a confession to make. We ended up living with each other for 2 years after this, before he got delisted. He goes, oh, man, geez, I'm sorry about the boxing thing. There's something I got to tell you. I'm like, what's this bloke sit me down for at dinner? One-on-one on a Tuesday night in Freo, just went out for a nice meal. And he goes, mate, I just love fighting. He goes, I fucking just love fighting. And I got in there and it was just like a bull to a red rag. So that was
just so anyone out there doesn't know Lowy, one of the nicest guys I've ever met on a list.
Loves fighting.
And then, but such an aggressive bloke. So you get him in a boxing ring. I haven't seen him like that. I don't think I've only ever seen the nice guy because I was a kid. But on the footy field, you can see he's an aggressive bastard.
Copped a couple of and I like going down this, telling stories about sprays on field training. He used to
cop it, man. I felt sorry for him.
He got delisted with a year to go on his contract.
Yeah,
so by Ross, and funnily enough, him and this is the type of guy he is, right?
Didn't understand that one. He's tough. He didn't really rate him.
So Ross delisted him. Done, mate. Thanks for your time. You're out. And 4 or 5 years later, Lowy's buddied up and he's doing business with Ross. So he's one that just to move on, I get the circumstance. That's right. So he's quite a unique character and an amazing person.
He is a great guy.
That perspective, but some of his training stuff. So you know how it is, and you and I were often on the challenge team. The match sim.
Yeah.
So you play match sim.
Challenge team means there's the ones, and then the challenge team's pretending to be the team they're playing.
Put the magnets up, and I actually have to do this at Werribee now, and I'm very open and honest that it is what it is.
Yeah.
Here's your team that's our 18, and it's Pavlich, it's Sandilands, it's Fife, it's Mundy, it's McFarlane.
Maine.
And then Maney, couldn't comprehend it one day, Manny, when he had to put the bib on in the challenge team. He was like, what am I doing?
Welcome to the team, brother.
The challenge team would get each other in before match team.
We'd go all right, wouldn't we?
And we'd have to play like Carlton or Sydney or whoever the fuck we're playing that week. And Nick Lower, clearly he was on the challenge team a lot. And he was the midfielder on the challenge team. So he'd often be on Fifey. And I remember one day it was like, tap down. And it's an interesting one because you're told to train with purpose and try and get your way into the team through training.
This is funny.
And he's tackled Fifey. Great tackle. Like,
dumped him.
Like great, like textbook tackle. Even today, wasn't a dump, but tackled him, holding the ball. No worries. Everyone's like, well, that's holding the ball. Right, everyone looks at Ross and it's like this deathly silence. Don't touch him. Fife's ball. And so Nick's like, had to put their hands up.
Oh,
like, don't touch him. And there's some other absolute rippers. Matty DeBoer getting sent off from training. I got told to pack my bags and head to the gym halfway through a session.
I'll never forget Hayden Crozier is my draft,
Hanger.
and we can't do it. And that's what AFL. It's that politics in it. It's amazing. You're trying to prove yourself. You're playing on the Brownlow medalist, and you got him holding the ball, and it's like, don't touch him. You know? It blows my mind. But Crozier, and this is something I'm very serious on. They do take away assets from young players. They don't want you. They want you to be robots. You know, no kicking on your left foot. We don't do that here. We do this. You know, blah blah blah. Crozier's been told not to fly. He's a hanger machine. If you look at when he's drafted,
the highlight.
He is, and he still can. I don't think he takes enough of them because he's probably been scarred from this training session.
We grounded him at Werribee versus Footscray.
You did well, Crosby. You've been playing half back against Werribee. Mickey made sure you didn't fly. But I'll never forget the training session where there's a rule where you're not allowed to jump and knee people in the back. Crosby didn't knee anyone this day.
It's called the Alex Silvani rule.
Yeah, it is. He's on Channel 9 at the moment in the series, doing very well.
Yeah.
And Crosby has sat on one of the boys' heads and taken an absolute screamer. Yeah. Same thing. Get in. Who the fuck do you think you are, mate? And Crosby's just taken mark of the decade, right? Everyone line up. 400. If I see it again, you won't be training. Like,
I do remember that.
That's what's going on. And as a young player, I still to this day can't comprehend it.
It is.
You're a coach, Mick. What is going on there?
Well, yeah, it's risk and reward, isn't there? And I went to the
Train
Suns.
the way you play, you get those ones.
Freo was very much like we look after, like there's the double whistle.
Yeah, I didn't mind the rules that look after each other.
Peter Sumich in match play had one roll, and when he blew the double whistle, the ball stopped dead because there was a high ball.
That's
and
fine.
Every now and then, Summer had copped the wrath because the double whistle didn't go off. And it was Sum. What are you doing? He's like, Summer has his face on him. He was like, oh, sorry, Ross.
He's such a good fellow, wasn't he?
And anyway,
then
I got to the Suns, and my first session, I'll never forget. Like it was
bodies flying.
It was on, and I was like, oh, what's going on here? I'm not used to this on a Tuesday or a Monday morning at pre-season training. So different club. I'm a bit. You definitely kind of brief them that, look, understand we're here to protect, but you do need to utilise the time in like for instance this week, 6-day break. We need to, as VFL players, you don't have much time with them, so you need to find 10 to 15 minutes in training to compete and play and do some stuff that you need to work on. And you always like the risk reward, so you have to do it with that risk. So I'm a bit more, look to make them compete and play or train like they play, but manage the time and the drills that you're doing that for.
Mm. Yeah, it's a hard one, but the hangers on their head, you got to appreciate them in training.
There's a bit of, I don't mind that.
As a coach, if a young player comes to your club and shows some brilliance on a training track, you can't punish him with a 400, can you?
No, I haven't.
Think about the toll that has later on.
What have I done 400s for? I've done a couple, and the Ross again, I've got a great one. Matty DeBoer, who's just the nicest guy in the world.
Well, he's proved himself. They should never got rid of him.
Exactly. He wasn't a great ball user, Matt. He swim between the flags type of operator.
I think he used it well enough in the end.
That is a good call. I
think he hated that. Yeah, the perception kills players.
Because he used to come in after having 40 for Peel Thunder in the waffle. Yeah. And the feedback was, so what did I say to you this week, Matt? Because me and Matty were probably in the same boat for a year. We were like, out of the team, getting lots of it. Feedback. And mine was probably warranted. Just don't get all this junk and start to hit some targets. I'm like, that's fair. Matty, what was yours? He goes, yeah, start to hit some targets. But he goes, I genuinely didn't miss a target. And I'm like, you're probably actually right. Because he had the ungamely kicking style, but he's so diligent. He's like, I'm not going to miss a target today. I'm going to have 40, but I'm going to.
Such an elite unit.
Anyway, but one's at training when we were really kind of flying and he was playing that high half forward role. I still picture it where it was. It's like half-back flank, Freo oval training. And I was in the next script to go into the drill. And he pulls back, tries to bite one off through the corridor.
Never try to bite them off, kids. Don't bite them off.
Especially if not enough separation. So he bit one off, turnover. Get off.
I laugh now.
And Matty DeVore, as diligent, yep, no worries, Ross, I'll get off. Started running off. He's halfway to the bed. Is that walk? It's like a dog.
Like, honestly.
And Matty had to walk and everyone had to wait until he was off before the next drill started. So this is like...
It's horrendous.
That wouldn't be happening at St Kilda now, I'm guessing.
That won't. You won't win a flag like it. That's why I think he has changed. But like these things, they're funny, but they're like, it's
you need the right person.
I've had all that, right?
Yeah.
So I know what it feels like to be told to do shit like that.
Yeah.
And you're all laughing at the fact that the scenario, but it breaks you down eventually. You start losing it.
No,
you only got a year in the twos, and they sent you.
I had a game where I got subbed just after half time. It's a derby, and it was like we're getting smacked. Half time comes in. It's like, Mick, you're going like shit. Like, how about you give yourself some length from stoppage and tidy up with this. Yeah, okay, all good. Team's up. Start on the bench. No worries. First, he's like, I need a response. No response from you. I'm like, no worries.
And which you would have.
I'm happy to respond.
Yeah.
So I sit down. I was living with you at the time.
We always responded.
Yeah, we were like, I'm ready to respond. Sat down. First rotation, I've got Ballas. Ballas coming off soon. Ballas gets called. I'm up on the boundary, ready to go on. Ballas is like literally 20 metres from the boundary. And Chris Bond, our footy manager, gets up, Mick. I'm like, phone. Ross, one more time. Net a lift. Threw the red vest at me. I didn't get a chance. I've sat there for 4 and had to vest it up. And I remember the Monday I went in. I reckon I went home that night. I was so filthy. Dope Al. I went home, dumped the bag, put the sand shoes on and went for a 7K run. I was just like, I need to get some endorphins going. But that next week I was trying to make contact with the coach. Like, how do I get him? And I was beelining him in the corridor one day. It was on a day off. And I'm like, what's he going to say yet? And he just like, I contact. Get rolling.
It's just bizarre. Like the shit. Yeah. The reason you laugh is it happened to you a few times, right? This happened to me every week. Yeah. Mick, every fucking week. Man, the mind games I'll never forget one day I go, Rossi, how you going? He's like, what you call me? It's like, one day, it's like, train. So you'll go, Rossi, how you going, mate? You're like, T-Train, how you going, mate? And you're going, he's my best mate. I'm on him, right? 30 minutes later, I'll come back with a bit of gusto and a bit more personality. I'll say something funny and he'll just go, a bit of gusto. What'd you say? And just keep walking, and all of a sudden everyone around goes, and all of a sudden you're back in your shell again. You're going, I can't read this bloke.
What you did really well, and it was probably done with a fair bit of anxiety, was I think the leadership group figured out, all right, we need to break the monotony of some of this stuff up, the structured elements of how serious we are and, we're always on. And they said to you, I don't know how it came about, but you did the fines, was it? Fines or like the weekly wrap or whatever before or after training, you come in and do your thing where it's like things that happened around the club that were humorous, and coaches were in the meetings as well. And I think it's all well and good, that stuff, obviously, when you're winning and things. But I remember one week it was like we'd lost and it was a tough week, and they're like, well, no, we don't want to be dictated to by win-loss. Up you get, Traino, and you've got up like, you've done your script.
I don't think that helped me doing that stuff, I'll be honest.
But it went well.
It always went well, but I look back now and I go, I should never have done me comedy skits with coaches in the room. Yeah. Because I reckon it's a perception thing.
Yeah.
I always thought you're mucking around, but it's like, I'm just trying to G the boys up because we're a bit flat here.
I got one that, like, where we're coaching now, the guy that does our fines is like, you're trusted. He's an absolute gem. Like, to coach, he's like driven, role specific. I'll do anything to win. I'll do whatever you need me to do, I'll do. And he does that stuff. And like, it's great. But I make sure now, he did a couple of times in front of everyone. I'm like, I love hearing it. But it's probably a players thing. You do need that stuff where it's just players, and
yeah, you do.
They have that little.
I can't repeat half the stuff, the material I use, but I'll just never forget. I stitched a couple of boys up, and like I can't tell it. But
did you tell the story? Sorry to jump in, but the Ross was big on mental imagery, right? And on the Tuesday, I reckon he's like, mental imagery, like you got to start working on your mental imagery because you're going out there and getting in big moments, and we're shallow.
Yeah. And
he's like, what are you doing for mental imagery, Pav? Pav's like, well, 3 times a day, 20 minutes, meditation, softening sounds. Sand between the toes. Fifey? Yep, down beach, hearing the waves crash, decompressing, offline. Kepler Bradley, what are you doing?
Oh, yeah, this is funny.
He's like, so I just do 5 minutes in the shower. So I reckon that happened the Tuesday, it was fierce. It was like, mate, yeah, you
sat in front of me as well.
No wonder, mate. No wonder you've bloody 12 years, 1 year contract, in the other side, and you're doing mental imagery in the shower. How are you going? And that was the Tuesday, but by the Thursday, enough. I reckon you've got up and did a thing about, good boys. So this week we're going to be on because, Kepler's at his shower this morning.
I couldn't help myself. I just used to love the banter, man. I think I just that's what I miss so much. Like, it's just a little cheap gag, but fuck it, the boys used to eat it up.
It was good.
I'll never get it'll be unreleased, but the Luke McFarlane's so talented, very smart, one of the coolest dudes you can meet, and him and Kepler and Mzungu and Tendai, but the boys would link up after the season and they do a song with a full review.
They did it after pre-season, heading into the season.
That's right.
I reckon a mid-year one and then an end of season.
The end of season one was the best though, and the one, and there was a full film clip with it, and the best one was Kepler in the showers doing his mental imagery. And he almost got the ass because of this, but in the end of the year, he ended up firing up and getting another 1 year contract, and he's just taking the absolute piss.
No one will really be able to understand this, but if anyone could comprehend, Kepler Brothers, he's exactly like you'd imagine.
I'm going to get Kepler on this potty. I need to get
He's exactly as you imagine he is. Now, footy manager at Claremont, doing really well, and Scott Gumbleton, who is exactly like you'd imagine him. Just
the Gumbles,
I don't even know how to describe these two individuals to give it justice. Great humans, very relaxed. They used to live together and do the 30-minute drive in from Joondalup up to Freo every day. And I've heard a couple of stories where they'd silence for 20 minutes and then one of them would just go, what are you thinking about? And kept one of them would be like, I was just trying to think of ways we don't have to go to work today. He goes, I just trying to figure out, we're getting closer to training and can't think of anything.
I reckon Kep was one of the funniest guys I've ever met in the locker room. As a young bloke coming into a list, I had never seen anything like it. He's just a big weapon. Good times.
Couldn't read the whiteboard. There's one for you.
Actually couldn't see.
When the team was up, the magnets. I'd have to have a. Because I sit next to him. I had a tap on his, and we probably should have come up with a better way, like just a thumbs up or thumbs down if you're in or out.
Yeah.
But we had a tap on the leg if he's out, just
this is selection.
Bad luck, man. And then I'd grab him if he was in. And every week it was I'd do it, and he'd be like, "Fuck's that one man again." and I remember once I did the right one, and the whole meeting you could hear him snarling, he was like. I'm like, fuck, he's fired up. He's fired up to win this week because he's playing centre half forward for us. And he's on. Have a look how fierce he's looking. He's like, and he walk out. I'm like, are you ready to go? He goes, I'm so angry. I'm so fucking angry. I've done everything I need to do to get back in the team. I'm like, mate, you are in the team. Your name's up there. He goes, oh, didn't you grab your leg real hard? I'm like, yeah, I did. No, I'm like, maybe I fucked it up. But anyway, the whole time, I think we need just to go, you're in or you're out.
Whisper, mate, you're in.
He's to go, couldn't read. But good man.
Fucking funny. How intense are our meeting rooms? It was a very intense place. I don't think I've had more anxiety in a meeting room or a situation.
Explain exactly how they operated.
Well, I can tell everyone how not to do it. Never go to a meeting 5 minutes early because you're 5 late. Work that out. Well, as a young bloke from Riddles Creek that used to think 9 o'clock was the time you start, he's in there 5 early, patting himself on the back. And you got 70 people looking at you while you're walking in last. And you got to walk up past everyone like a lecture theatre, and the coach is sitting there and you got to give the old, sorry, mate.
We'll wait.
Yeah, you get you get a little sly one on the way. And then automatically they're coming for you because they're like, okay, let's see how much you remembered from yesterday's meeting. Essentially we would review every meeting. We would call it review the review. So we would have a meeting and then we would ask someone to review yesterday's meeting while you're trying to absorb today's meeting just to fuck with your head. And they generally target idiots like me because I might be laughing a bit too loud. I'll never forget I used to laugh too much. And one day I laughed too hard when no one laughed. And anyway, and it was just those things. You get in there at 7 a.m. in the morning and you've got a coffee and you might have a bit of anxiety because you're going, where you going, boys? Straight into a room, darkness, and you're reviewing your game. You're lost by a point and you might not have done your cover roll right.
And the eye in the sky doesn't lie.
And there's camera angles everywhere and you've got to know everyone's role and you got to know if you played your role and then you got to give feedback on the spot and you're only 19 and you're trying to work out what you did last night. And mate, all this is going through your head and it's at 7 a.m. in the morning and the coach is going, bang, come up the front, put your notepad down and tell us what we did yesterday. Give me the 5 points and you're going, I don't even know what I'm having for breakfast, right? So this is the shit that caused so much anxiety and you do it every day for fucking 7 years, okay? So that's a bit of an insight into what it was like. Mate, and you couldn't miss one. And in the end, I'd had enough. In the end, I'd had enough of the notepad. And I actually become, it was quite repetitive. You actually knew what they were going to say. But I'll never forget one day I was in that meeting room and the great man, Michael Aikness, people would know if you don't, he was a machine. He used to smash packs and almost laughable how hard he'd go at packs.
Disgustingly
hard. I think he'd had a couple of, not that I'm laughing at this, but he'd had a couple of concussions and he'd come back and, we'd always say he's a very quiet guy in the locker room and I used to get around him and rouse him up a bit because he was very quiet. And we used to just almost laugh at how hard he would go at a pack. I'll never forget one day they put the waffle trademark up and they go, have a look at Mick because we've come off a bad loss and they go, have a look at Mick throwing his body on the line, right? And it's very serious and he's just gone bang and he split the pack and I've started laughing out loud and no one's laughing and then the coach goes, what are you laughing at? And you're just like, oh, no, just great contest. And then all of a sudden, bang, you're upstairs in the principal's office. It felt like, again, getting told to be serious. Oh, fuck it. You just didn't know how to act in those meetings.
Well, and then Ross, perfection was never close. So towards the back end of my career, they'd throw me in the tagging role. And I thought, I'm fucked.
But hey, we all got that one. By the way.
There's your rope. Brought me over at training once and said, "Oh mate, you're back in the team." I'm like, beautiful. Goes, you're going to tag. I'm like, oh fuck. Right. I am genuine. This is something that's quite foreign to me. So but anyway, I had a couple of good games. Robbie Gray, best game I ever played. We got a good win, Port Adelaide, and the ball just fell in my lap all day. Bounced left, I was left, Robbie was right. And I had a good outing. Robbie didn't touch it much. I thought, this week's the 1 week, I reckon I can walk around guilt-free. And Ross's door was open. That door's always open, boys. So I thought, I'll kind of just shuffle past, walk past. You hear down the hallway, Mick. Oh, beautiful. Wants to give me a pat on the back. And I'm like, it's the other one when you go to walk in and sit down. And he's like, no, just stay up. This won't take long. I'm like, yes, Robbie Gray, forward 50 stoppage. Maybe get goal side. Should have kicked 3. And I'm like, fuck, walk out. Yeah, there's not much we can do in this world.
The insights of playing in a defensive mechanism. Defense was life. If you didn't have if you weren't goal side or at the right cover roll. Man, I used to worry about cover rolls more than fun. I'm a first round draft pick. I look back on my career. I know you take the piss. I'm a first round draft pick for a reason. I used to go, all right. But I used to go to games with that much anxiety about trying to make a fucking tackle.
Cover rolls.
Not fucking miss the ground ball. And a cover roll, which for anyone out there wants to know what a cover roll is, it's see out Nathan Fife's man. And if you don't see that, you got to get the ball, you got to tackle, and you've also got to stop the Paddy Dangerfields of the world coming through the front of the stoppage. There's so much going through your head, right? And you get one wrong, you get dropped as a young bloke, and that was the rigours of it.
I'm gonna have to, and I'm hopeful.
Giants was different. Giants was like, mate, don't worry about it, just play footy. You start there and see what happens.
Let it flow, eh?
Didn't work there. Couldn't get on the park either. Maybe she went back to trying to get a tackle. But yeah, it was a different beast. But looking back, it was good. We had a winning. It was as a team. First, it was a winning culture, which I look back and very grateful. And the boys we played with, the lads,
connectivity was strong.
Never ever had a group like it. Everyone bought in, and if you didn't buy in, you easily were out the back. So
I think that's well put, my man. I remember when I finished at Freo, it was like, yeah, like there's hindsight's beautiful, but like during that period where we were pretty good, and it was like, oh, you don't take anything for granted, but at the same time, when it comes to an end, and you know that's probably that experience and that kind of level of connection will never be replicated. Like I went to the Suns, probably optimistic it would, and it would play well and everything. But, you know, when you're kind of that mid-20s, you're playing well, you're doing the job you love, and with kind of people that you respect and, you know, largely get along with. It's like, I remember when we had a few beers at the left bank when I was leaving, I looked around, I was like, oh, this is, I could smell the roses time, but it's about to, you know, the roses are about to get pruned. So it's all over. And and one last one on Free. I'll give you one more.
Yeah, give us one more.
Special time. It wasn't so special for me on the day. And we might be able to attach some vision of this. End of every footy season finishes. You have Silly Sunday. It was Saturday, though, because we played Friday night against the Hawks and we lost.
What year is this?
2015. Out prelim.
Okay.
Yeah. And
this is me.
And we go to Fifey's.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, Fifey's house for the drinks and the carry-on. And we do a sprint every year.
Oh, fuck. I meant to bring this up, and I'm glad you did.
We did the sprint every year. Yeah, and the reigning non-champion, so the loser from the year before has to challenge another player on the list to loosely a 60 to 80 metre sprint.
A sprint, and there's a lot of talk all year. And just so anyone knows, we used to rip anyone that was a bit sluggish, and Mick was consistently copying it for his spread, not his speed, but spread from stoppages because you weren't. Especially defensively. Forward was very quick.
Yeah. Well, 6 roll, bang out.
And I think Alex Forster just got delisted, and he was beaten by Jack Hanneth.
So Jack Hanneth had to go again, and Jack pinned me out.
All year he challenged you, the big fella. This is a ruckman, by the way. Quads the size of my whole body. Very slow. Very slow individual.
You need to attach the vision somehow to after this story's finished because he does. I'm probably alluding to the fact that I lost to Jack. No excuses. I've got a couple that I could bring out. But anyway, we had to run and someone filmed it from the top story of Fifey's. And it's because where Fifey moved, like, new houses going up everywhere. So it was kind of like, it was a great place to have a carry on because not many people were living around there.
Yeah, it was an empty estate with a few mansions. One was Fifey's.
With a nice bloody, what are they called? Crescent where no through road
no
thing.
Traffic.
So we were starting down that end. And there was people at the starting line. There was people spattered along the finish.
The balcony was the finish line, so it was 40 blokes cheering on you and Jack.
Not many for me. And then we're out of the blocks. Jack's wearing his jocks. And he's out. And he was powerful. And I reckon 30 metres in, I'm just like, he's got me. It's all over. All over. I didn't even finish. Jack goes through the line, chest out, does the Drew Petrie, does the robot.
Boom, 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 boom.
Oh, mate, I'll never live that. And
is that one of the lowest points of your career?
That was low as low. Because Jack...
To this day, just so everyone
and we've had a few more. We've gone to a few weddings and that and done. Every time we catch up, and like, it's usually at a wedding or he was living in Darwin. I played a couple of games of footy. Rory Atkins, your good friend, who they, how's it work? They date sisters.
The same sisters. Yeah.
So Rat's there, and I'm saying, Rat, we're doing this sprint. And you're filming it in Darwin. So the last time we've done it, I won. And there's vision of that as well.
That doesn't count, though.
Only just in Darwin, the humidity got him. He couldn't handle the humidity.
Oh, for anyone out there that doesn't understand, the rivalry here was one of those ones at a footy club, and you could probably do it now at your club, is challenging a ruckman and maybe a bloke that thinks he's going better than himself, like Mick on the spread. And all year you had his measure, but the day that he beat you, it was one of the greatest moments after such a depressing night's prelim. But we'll get that footage up, and no doubt the boys in our fantasy, our chosen ones, will be licking their lips just waiting for this clip Braden's going to clip up as a highlight. Mickey, I don't want to hold you up too much more because we'll talk to you, but before I go, how's the transition been into, you're now a head coach at Werribee, you've got a few other jobs. Have you found that, is this you for the rest of your life, or are you still working it out?
It's a good question, mate, and this is something I think we did want to talk about in terms of transitioning out of the AFL, and you live this life where like we just spoke about, Freo was like you connect, like you got best mates that you're with every day. You're going for lunch with every day. You live with, and life, whilst it's kind of a high performance, high stress job, at the same time it's very fulfilling and you love it, and it's kind of, you're fit and healthy. When I was finishing at the Suns, I always kind of thought I knew what you wanted to do. But you thought it was far enough away that you wouldn't fully have to worry about it. It's like, I'd love the idea of some media stuff. I still want to be involved in footy somehow. It's transitioned into coaching. And I'm so kind of humbled by how I've got to where I am now in terms of the roles I have. And kind of couldn't have asked for a better transition, to be honest, since leaving footy. But in my last year in particular, when I knew it was, by about March, I knew it's curtains, like when you're starting on the interchange in an interclub match.
Like, I thought that was my chance.
Yeah. It's like, I've got a couple of academy kids we're just going to have a look at today.
Yeah, you must be struggling.
I was like, okay. But anyway, I look back at that year as kind of something, like it was a tough year because like you'd separate, like you know it's all over and you're probably in denial a fair bit about it. You're a bit like, and you feel like everything outside of your control is contributing to it. I probably had things I was probably not doing perfectly as well to contribute to not getting selected or not giving myself the best chance or whatever it is. But yeah, some genuine. I'm interested. You probably had some similar stuff. That genuine anxiety of what your life is beyond being a footballer. You do become a little bit institutionalized and a bit. I think, tied to the job, and it's a great job, but then when it does dawn that, gee whiz, I've earned good dough, done what I loved, now, it's the next phase. So I think what held me in good stead was good people around me, family, friends, the footy clubs that I was attached to, and the PA. Like, you have a lot of support coming out, but then you do have to tap into your own reserves, don't you? And you have to look the man in the mirror and say, right, what are we doing and how are we doing it? And my big thing was trial and error, really. The best bit of advice I got when I finished was, what do you want to do and how do you get there? And I wasn't really sure, and I probably still am not fully sure where I want to go. And I said, the advice I got was, make sure you just say yes to as much stuff as you can, and then you just kind of tick stuff off and cross stuff off. Like, yep, I like that, I don't like that. You'll build connections. You might not like something, but you're going to make a connection out of that person that they may come back to you, you may come back to them. So I've done, and we joke a little bit about me doing a lot of different things, but it's pretty much broken up into coaching, which is my full-time job with Werribee. And there are different branches from that in terms of some specialist coaching that I do on the side. And then the other branch, which is probably 20% of my career now, is media. So, special comments for AFL Nation, some stuff with Zave Ellis in WA on Channel 7, and writing an article in the West. All stuff that, if you had told me that's what I was doing in 5 years, I would have parceled it up and been so happy, because that, for the guy going out of the AFL, that was probably what it wanted to look like. Comes with pretty hard work though. Like, I'd say probably 60 to 70 hours a week, like, of everything, and you don't really get days off when you you become self-employed. And if you're coaching aside, the thing you need to be is organised and prepared. So you might play on a Saturday, but your Sunday, you have to really prioritise with a young family now when you do your work. And I've got a really supportive kind of fiance who gets it, and I reckon a lot of people outside of that bubble sometimes wouldn't comprehend your partner spending 4 to 6 hours on his computer on a Sunday, or talking to players, or 3 nights a week, 4 nights a week, never home for bath time, all of that stuff. So it does come with your sacrifice, but you get it back in other ways.
No, well said, mate, and I'm glad you answered that, and you give people listening, a great understanding of what your advice is. Start it, cross it off. You can't knock it till you try it. And it's good. You're in a great place. I feel like you're always going to be in footy. You love footy. You love. One thing I've probably always told you, I don't know if I've told you recently, but you always embraced me and young guys, and I was probably a bit of a larrikin. I was very raw. I look back and go, geez, I was, it's just had no idea. I didn't know that you had to be at meetings on time. When I say on time, 10 minutes early, and be more professional in front of key figures like coaches and CEOs. I was just the same all the time, and but you never changed or wavered, and you always welcomed me in, lived with you. You're always great with young guys, and I think coaching, you can be serious, but you can also have fun and a beer, and I reckon you'll do really well in that space. But also the media, you like to talk a little bit of shit as well. So you're in that good spot. I feel like that's you, and what that looks like next. Obviously VFL is a level below AFL. I think with a young family, you'll work out what that looks like. But yeah, it's good, mate. You're in a good spot. So well done.
I'm going to wear that, am I?
You're going to get it in a second. I'm going to get to you don't come on Tommy Talks, the American Aces, and go home with nothing.
With the hair. Do I get a haircut on the way out? I haven't got many left.
I hope Braden touches the photos up. Sometimes when he takes the photo, your face goes red or your hair goes grey. I don't know.
No, well, we got both. I appreciate it, man. Love what you're doing. And it's cool. Like it's, people sometimes, the big one for me, we've discussed, quite a serious one is, and again, I'd imagine the audience you get is largely, people pursuing professional sport or those guys in it as well that consume this stuff. It's, the transition out stuff is, if you get it right, it's so fucking fulfilling to be able to utilize the situations you've had, which you've done. We've talked about some probably down moments and some of the roller coaster you experience as an athlete, but you've got to absorb all of that to be able to harness it and make yourself a successful individual beyond the sporting arena.
And like you said, all those blokes we mentioned are all doing great things, Kepler's now the GM at Claremont. Yeah. Manny's running
it. He's going to be CEO of Australia at some stage.
Google. He's Athletic Ventures, the king.
Alex Silvani's on the summit.
He's on the summit. He's got about 4 jobs. We've got Kepler Bradley, GM, Claremont. Yeah. We've got you running everything. You get 25 jobs.
Yeah. Lee Spur, who we briefly mentioned, he's doing something.
He's CEO, Managing Director. I haven't seen Aaron Sandilands in a while. I need to touch base with the great man. He'd be Gecko Landscaping still flying.
Got the deal with all the councils around the south of the river there.
He's just got to rock up and drink a couple of beers and the deal's done. Now, mate, nice. We'll start here. RIXX and retirement. These are the RIXXies for you. Anyone out there, you know the drill.
Which ones are these ones, Trano?
These are the Soho Champagne green polarized lenses. So they're a bit thicker. They're squarer.
Mate,
different. I know you've got the Orbits, you've got the Grands, you've got the Tribecas. I've got to mix them up for you, mate.
Very appreciative.
Riley can chuck them on if you don't like them.
Yeah, she's got a couple of the pairs. I think it came out that she got what are the thin black? Just like the older school. She's big on them. So driving classes.
The Brookfield ones, or depends if.
Anyway, mate, they're magic. Yeah, so.
I mean, there's a few styles that I can't keep up. But keep them on for me, Mickey. I want to just ask you a question. If you were to retire, and this one's a hypothetical, but if you had cash, like unlimited, and your career's done, you've fulfilled everything, so you don't need to keep working. Where's the one place in the world you'd love to travel, retire with the family, and take the RIXXies, and tell me why?
Wow. Well, we'll take the RIXXies. We spoke early about, can we just go on an extended holiday, vacay? My parents did that.
You can do anything, but where's the one sabbatical? You get one house, one location.
Let's head to Jacksonville and watch Trevor week in, week out. We'll sit in the pool. They've got the pool at Duval in the stadium. I think they need an upgrade, but they've got the pool. And I might be in the pool there at 65 with gangly kind of wrinkly rig,
skinny arms, and you would never have a gut. You got a great rig. People wouldn't know. You've always had a good rig. I've always.
Remember, Manny said I was a 4 for a body, and then I was like, "Oh, I think I'm not bad." And he lifted up my shirt and he goes, "Oh, actually, you're a 7 or 8."
Well, I'll never forget. I told Smokey McPhee that he was a 9.5 because he got a hunchback, and he was in the showers when I said it. And he goes, "What did you say?" And he nearly killed me. I said, "I'm only joking, Smokey. You take it easy, big fella." They're very good times. Mate, thanks for that. And you know what? I'll take this off. You can try this on. This is the Milwaukee heated jacket because I want you to try it on. But this is I can't believe the technology that this brand. They not only have the best tools, they got the best jackets, they got the best everything. You're going to go home with that, and as a bloke that coaches, the Werribee, I imagine it gets cold on a Tuesday, Thursday night.
Last night,
So this is the Milwaukee Tough Shell heated jacket. It's the go-to for protection from the elements on the job site or enjoying the outdoors or coaching at Werribee or wherever you are, watching the kids on a Sunday morning. The M12 Tough Shell heated jacket is powered by M12 red lithium-ion batteries to provide lasting run time and 3 adjustable heat settings, as I said, on your jacket, and zones to trap heat in all-day warmth. And to get you out of the cold immediately. So there's an M12 red lithium starter pack right next to me, behind me, actually. That's yours, and that's got all your batteries and chargers.
I'm after at the moment. I'm on the GC on the Glitter Strip, and I'm also back in Ballarat watching the doggies play the Crows.
You look like a recruiter. Mate, this one here is all about you, your highlight reel. When's that time? And don't get humble here. This is a time to just...
We still got these on?
You can take them off for this one. This is a time where, you look back and you go, your Milwaukee handiest moments. With the moment you were that hot, you were that warm, you got the M12 battery heated jacket. How hot were you? Tell me the biggest highlight, your Milwaukee handiest moment.
Tagging of Robbie Gray, but we'll just honourable mention. Look, remember the game Fife Dangerfield?
Adelaide.
40 Ps each.
I think I saw Danger out. Actually, I didn't see him out that day. You let him go.
I kicked a goal from the pocket that night. It was wet. If you go the vision, right, we're talking about how slow I am.
Yeah.
It was a foot race. Me and Ballas for this ball. Left him in mid.
And he's quick.
Left him. See you later, Ballas. Pick it up. He couldn't believe it. He's like, what's going on here? Picked it up. Sold one way, went the other. Pav's at the top of the square. Again, I reckon it might have come up in the trademark review that I might have been able to pop it to the top.
You did this to him against Bulldogs later on. Keep going, keep going.
Pav's at the top of the square, I don't reckon he had much split. I thought, I'm going to try and wobble. No, I'm going to try and boomerang this one home. Kicked it. I muffed the kick, right? I was by design, did what I meant by design. It went straight through, but it wobbled. It wobbled from the pocket and straight to the goals. And everyone's like, you see all the Freo boys coming to me. Pav's still at the top of the square.
The big maverick.
And we won. We beat Adelaide. Fife had 40. Dangerfield had 40. But I think I got the one Brownlow vote for the magical. And I out-sprinted the sprinter.
That's
Valentine.
Awesome. The Milwaukee Mickey Barlow special. Out-sprinting Hayden Valentine, kicking a checkie on the boundary line and burning the skip at the top of the square.
Yeah, it all happened. It had it all.
Oh, that is awesome, mate. That's awesome. It's funny because I've seen the opposite of that against the Bulldogs, and you could probably you can't use use the words.
Descriptive language from Pav to me that day.
Yeah, well, I'll set the scene, then you tell it. So
something to do with
Pavlich, top of the square, gets I think he gets chopped or he gets a free kick. Ball goes to the boundary line. Mick plays on and kicks the most ridiculous snap and misses, and Pav turns around and calls you.
He didn't turn around initially, right? Because I snapped it and it went through for a point. So quickly, I think it was the Saints. And they went quick transition end to end, and the ball went out of bounds up the other end. So I've charged down to get there. Pav didn't let it go at the top of the square. He's charged 150 as well to make sure he let me know.
The feedback was direct.
In terms of direct feedback, I don't think I'll ever get more direct than that.
And that's why he was a superstar.
Yeah,
he rarely would give it that hot. He gave it hot.
It was absolutely warranted.
Oh, it was.
It's one of those moments where you know you're doing the wrong thing.
But if it goes in, you're like,
but you're like,
it was selfish. It was as selfish as it gets.
It was. And now I need those experiences to understand.
Yeah.
I've got vulnerability to my players as well. I've been there, mate. Hey, don't bullshit us.
Yeah, man, I used to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Mate, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate the honesty and the good yarn. And we'll do this again. We'll have to get a few more Freo boys on. Chris Main in one of them, get him going. And Kepler Bradley next to us would really wind us up. But all the best with coaching at Werribee, everything else you're doing. Say good day to Zave if you see him soon. He's a funny man. But thanks for coming on the Oz American Aces, and thanks for everyone for tuning in. And again, loving all your feedback. Keep commenting on the podcast on YouTube, especially. It gives us good feedback, and it's all been really positive lately. So really appreciate it. Blokes like Mickey come on and have great confidence because I can ask great questions because you guys keep telling me what you want out of this show. So thank you for your support. And yeah, Mickey, thanks for joining us. Pleasure, mate.
Great stuff, mate.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Tommy Talks. We literally can't thank you enough for all your support. Speaking of support,
Milwaukee's MX Fuel equipment system revolutionizes the light equipment market by delivering the performance and durability demanded by the trades. From the MX Fuel cut-off saw and MX Fuel sower machine to the MX Fuel power supply and the MX Fuel tower light, MX Fuel has you covered without the hazards associated with emissions, noise, vibration, and the frustrations of petrol maintenance. MX Fuel, equipment system, equipment redefined. Righto, we'll see you on the next podcast.